Hello and welcome to my tropical style garden here on a cold March morning. And today I thought I'd talk about evergreen plants and trees that we can use for height in a tropical style garden. Now, there's lots of plants out there that aren't evergreen that will be very exotic and tropical looking, that can give us the height that we need, like Tetrapanax papyrifera, Paulownia tomentosa, and lots of other brilliant plants like that. But sometimes if we want that structure through the winter months, or maybe to screen buildings behind or views we don't like, we might need something that's going to be tall enough and stay green all year round to give us visually the effect that we want. So in my garden, I use quite a lot of these sort of plants to make my garden feel more private and sort of secluded when I'm sat in it. Now, these take time. They take a long time to grow. For instance, you can see in front of me, I've got some large Trachycarpus fortunei to help screen the house behind. And then in front, in a separate border, just in front of you there, I've got some more Trachycarpus and that planted. So as the ones at the back get taller, the ones layered in front will then get taller and still help screen the buildings behind. But I thought I'd go through some of the plants that we can use to do that. So Trachycarpus fortunei obviously is one that we can use, but they are expensive to buy and they take a few years to sort of get to a good size that we can use that. So without spending a lot of money, we might have to come up with some other options. And in my garden generally, the height that is evergreen comes from the Trachycarpus fortunei. Then I have up there a eucalyptus. Now, eucalyptus isn't really feasible for people with smaller gardens as they do get very big. Yes, you can keep them pruned down, but you have to think about your own garden, your neighbours, drains, foundations, all sorts of stuff like that when planting such a big tree. So be aware, there are smaller eucalyptuses that can be grown in smaller gardens, well worth looking into, and definitely give that feeling. But some of the others I'd like to talk about, and I have a few in pots here. So we have Magnolia grandiflora. This is an evergreen magnolia, so it will keep these, bear in mind it's March now, keep these lovely glossy green leaves with this sort of, usually, let me just see if I can find one, here we go, this sort of copper tone underneath the leaf. Absolutely stunning plants, lovely creamy flowers. They are hardy for most parts of the UK, I'd imagine. Now you can buy them at different sizes and you can get different varieties. So for instance, these small ones here that will grow large, but this is a variety called Little Gem. So that is a variety that won't get as big as some of the other varieties. So you need to do a little bit of research into what variety might be the best for your garden. They can also be grown like this one, which is a bit more multi-branched and it's more like a shrub. And then we have this one, which has a lot longer branch on it, is more grown like a tree. And this one here is Magnolia grandiflora Exmouth. I see that growing in a garden yesterday that had been in for many years, which I'll put up on the screen. Beautiful magnolia, stays looking like that all year round. Ideal if you've got a big enough border to put it sort of the back and give you that good backdrop and height all year round interest. What else have we got? So another plant that a lot of people is very common but won't think to use for that backdrop is just quite simply the red robin, Photinia cross Fraseri, if I remember rightly. Now this one here is just a standard red robin. Not sure how well that's showing up on the screen. You can probably, I think I paid about £15 for that one. But in my garden, rather than use them as shrubs, I use them as trees. So if you look there, with all the new red flush coming out, that one's probably been in maybe 9-10 years. And also, if I pan around to the right, there is another one up here. Now bear in mind, they are evergreen, but they do still drop a lot of leaves. So don't think that that won't sort of give you any sort of maintenance whatsoever. Red robins do like to drop quite a lot of leaves, so I've had a bit of a clear up, but you can see by the end of the path there. But yeah, you're not looking at them being a real special standout plant, but when the new growth comes out in spring that is bright red, they will really brighten up spots at an early time of year that make them stand out above other plants. So what else have we got? So pittosporums can be used to grown as large shrubs or trees. So in this one, I think this one is Pittosporum Elizabeth, if I remember correctly, but there's quite a lot of varieties that get really tall that can be grown over the years to look like a large tree. So imagine there's a building or something behind it that I don't want to see. It's going to completely cloud that out and stay looking like that all year round. And as you can see, these have been in my garden for many years, faced some really cold temperatures, and they're still here. Now another one, as I pan around to the right, Cordyline australis. So we know that in the really severe winters, these can be badly damaged. Now, a lot of people would say -10, but it is about -10 Celsius, I should say. But it is about prolonged cold. You know, you might get lower temperatures than that, and it might be colder for a long period of time, and that could just about affect it as well. But generally, these are pretty much a hardy palm type plant. They're not actually a palm. And you know, will probably survive for years and years and years, unless you get a stupid extreme winter that can sort of kill them back down to lower down, and they will probably sucker off from the trunk. But for the price that you can get these, the smaller plants, and how quick they grow, definitely would grow them in a tropical style garden. So let me think, another plant that I brought yesterday, and this is a new one to me, I hadn't even heard of it, is this plant here, and this is called Drimys winteri. I will just focus on the label just in case I have said that wrong. There we go. And it says it's from Chile and Argentina. So now I'll put up on the screen one that I see in a garden yesterday, and it's in quite an exposed location, to be fair, for what I would expect this tree to be able to go into. And it survived quite a lot of cold winters, so I would say it's proving to be fairly hardy. It does say to keep it in a more sheltered place, so if you're out exposed in a real cold area, probably not the thing or the plant for you. But yeah, especially when young, it's got these big leaves with this silvery undertone, and the new shoots seem to come up quite red. And I was told it looks absolutely stunning in flower with white flowers. So this is one I'm going to grow bigger, so keep your eye out for this, and we'll see what sort of effect this has. But for a tropical style evergreen tree, this is one for me to learn a little bit more about, but I thought I'd mention it. Like I say, I see it in the garden yesterday, and it really did look good. So let's think, what else have we got? So not so big there, but I've actually got this one in for a job. You've got this Portuguese laurel with these evergreen leaves, and you can see these newer shoots come out with this sort of reddy tinge. This is not that fast growing, so you'd probably, if you wanted to use it sort of to screen or to help hide the back of your fences, you'd probably have to buy a bigger plant. Now, I bought this one from, at that size, from a trade nursery, and I paid about £60 for it. Now, I believe that if you'd probably bought it from a normal garden centre, it may be double that. But you can buy them smaller, and then eventually, not for real height, but you can use them maybe to help screen sort of some fencing. So just to give you a little idea, so these magnolias here that I've just been talking about, small one like this will probably cost you somewhere about maybe £9–10. Then get into this next size up, we're probably talking about £20 to £30. Then you start to get, if you're going to buy one about this size, probably somewhere £80 to £100. And then I bought this large one yesterday for about £89. So yes, I'm not saying, you know, the bigger ones are cheap by any means. It all depends on your budget and what sort of impact and how quickly you want your garden to look established. So what else can we use for the height? Obviously we can use bamboos, as many bamboos. I have some that you can see clearly right at the very back there, which is the Philostachys nigra, the sort of black caned bamboo. You have to be a bit careful, some bamboos, and look into that, because obviously you can get some runners and you get some clumpers, and the big ones, lots of them tend to be runners. And make sure that, you know, you're giving these plants room to grow. You know, they are going to get big, but they're eventually going to give you the effect that you want. There is a few other things as well for that evergreen look, but they're not highly available. So they're going to take a while to grow, and they're going to be expensive if you buy big. For instance, hardy chefleras. I have a couple around here that are growing into small little trees. This one I've mentioned quite a few times before. Stunning tree, shrub I should say, maybe. Cheflera rhododendrofolia. You know, these will grow into small evergreen trees as well, but they are going to be hard to get hold of, and they're going to take you quite a lot of years to get the effect that you want. So I think I've mentioned some of the plants that I grow. There is probably others out there as well, and if you can think of them and I haven't mentioned them, you know, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Today was a bit of a rambling video because I'd brought a few plants for a job that I'm doing, and I thought I'd mention them. Actually, there is another plant that I'm just going to mention round to the left. Now, mine is grown like a shrub because I didn't give it enough room to grow, but this glossy leaved evergreen beautiful plant is Eriobotrya japonica, also known as the loquat, which has the orange type fruit. Now, if you can see, I planted this many years ago when this Pittosporum was small, and behind is this massive laurel. So I've had to sort of prune it and grow it more as a shrub, but this will grow, if given the space, into a beautiful evergreen tree with these lovely corrugated green leaves. So hardy for me, hardy for most of the UK. Like most of these plants, they want free draining soil. They don't like to be waterlogged. Plenty of sun and glorious looking plants. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. Any questions, please ask, because I'm just rambling on now. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe if you want. Got loads more videos coming up soon, hopefully better than this one, to be fair. Cheers again, see you next time.